Shalom, shalom. It's Brother George. I'm back at it again with another video. So today we'll be going into how age does not equal knowledge, right? And I just want to say Salakia for the hiatus for me as well as other brothers from the House of Jerusalem page. All of us battling things in life right now, whether it be school, work, a job, a loss of a family member. We're all just kind of going through a lot right now, but we'll be breaking down things and making videos soon. So without further ado, I'm going to just jump right into it. This is the Book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4. And I'm going to read verses 8 and 9. For honorable age is not that which standeth in the length of time, nor that is measured by number of years. But wisdom is the gray hair unto men, and an unspotted life is old age, right? So mostly harping on verse 8 where it says, for honorable age is not that which standeth in the length of time. So for you to be honorable at age, that doesn't necessarily mean how many years you have, whether you're an elder or not, right? And I'm going to continue to harp on that point by going into other scriptures. So I'm going to go into 1 Samuel chapter 16. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16, and I'm going to read verses 11 through 13. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest. And behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon David. From that day forward, so Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Right? So Jesse had 7 sons. And when Samuel got sent on the journey to find the next king, because remember our people, they were pleading for another king, right? Samuel had to go and he had to ask Jesse. And he did not just go through one of his sons and skip all the way to the last one. He went through each individual one saying, is this him? Is this him? Is this him? Right? Until he got all the way to David being the youngest. And that's an extremely important part to this breakdown, because we know that throughout the Torah that the inheritance is supposed to go unto the oldest. But this is also proven how at certain points in time, how it can be different, like what I believe Ephraim and Manasseh, that type of thing, right? And I'm going to go to 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. This is 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word and conversation, in charity and spirit, in faith and purity. Right? So no man is supposed to despise you because of your age. You have a lot of people out here who may run into an elder or OG on the street, mainly us men when we're out here preaching the word, who will try to say, oh, we've been your age, you've never been ours. You don't know what you're talking about. I've been there, done that. What do you know? We get these type of things being Jake, maybe running into like our aunt, our grandma, just somebody of more renowned age, so like than we are. And they can't do that, because at the end of the day, you're supposed to be proud when somebody of a younger age is coming into this thing, is bringing up the truth, is bringing up the scriptures, right? And I'm going to go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 34 and verse 1. This is the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 34 and verse 1. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. Right? So he was 8 years old. If any of you guys know anything about King Tut, I believe his name was, he was ruler of Egypt, I think, at one point in time, and he started to reign really young as well. But with us seeing people like David and Josiah, we're learning that there's a lot of people who started to reign over Israel at a fairly young age. Even if they didn't reign, they may have got anointed or whatever the case may be at a young age, showing that there is power, when you're young as well, that you can be mighty when you're younger. Also, in the book of Susanna, right, the person that kind of stood up for Susanna was Daniel, when I believe he was in his younger years in age. So we're going to go back to the book of the Wisdom of Solomon. We're going to get chapter 8, verses 10 and 11. For her sake I shall have estimation. I'm on the multitude and honor with the elders, though I be young. I shall be found of a quick conceit in the judgment and shall be admired in the sight of men, right? So being admired in the sight of men from when you're young. Many people, they may come into this truth, and even though you got a lot of people that may scoff or do this or do that, you even run into situations where you may have that OG, or you may have somebody that you used to bang with or whatever the case may be, but they'll start to respect you even more and look at you and be like, young blood, I admire what you're doing. Because it is actually some people, believe it or not, that would prefer to see a young melanated man with a Bible in his hand rather than a gun or anything like that. And continuing on with that point, let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 9. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things God will bring thee into judgment, right? So you're supposed to be excited in the days of your youth. That's why in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and 6, let's get it. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? So you're supposed to rejoice in the days of your youth. This is also why a woman plays a very important part in building our nation. Salakia for the background noise. But because they take part in raising up our children, right? The man teaches the woman so that she can teach the child, right? And that's a very important thing that we get this while we're young. This just, begs a question. Just think about how different your walk in the truth would be if you were born in this thing, man. You would know the laws, you would know the statutes, you would know the commandments, right? It would be a lot easier thing to do because you would know this from birth, instead of having that mindset of, let's say a woman has the mindset of, oh, I don't need a man or whatever the case may be, or having hoop dreams or anything like that, man. That would be different. Your main focus would be the Lord. Now we're gonna go to the book of Psalms, chapter 119. In verses 99 and 100. Hold on, Destiny. Hold on. Go talk to Papa. Go give it to Mommy. Okay. I'll talk to you in a minute, baby. So that's my little cousin, y'all. But back to the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verses 99 and 100. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimony is in my meditation. I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts, right? So through us keeping the law, right, which we know is our righteousness, going into Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25. Let's get that. This is Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us, right? So that's righteousness. So through these commandments, through these precepts, through these laws, also going to Ecclesiastes, let's get that. Chapter 12 and verse 13. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man, right? So through us doing this whole duty of man, what is actually our purpose of being here, Salakia, to be righteous, right? We get the understanding. We have more understanding than our teachers, right? Because truth be told, with me being younger in this truth, through a lot of other people that I talk to in this truth, there's a lot of us where our parents aren't in the truth, but we know more about the scriptures than them because we strive for the Lord, Let's get that in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33, talking about how when you seek the Lord, all things shall be added unto you. This is Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, right? So when you seek, the kingdom and God first, everything is going to be added unto you, whether it be wisdom, whether it be riches, whatever the case may be. I believe that's also a point in the book of James. But let's go to Job chapter 29, and I'm going to read 4 through 12. This is Job chapter 29, verses 4 through 12. As I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil, when I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the street, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. right? Laying their hand on their mouth, kind of putting their foot in their mouth because they have respect for him. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. When the eye saw me, it gave witness to me, because I delivered the poor that cried and fatherless, and him, Salaki, let me read verse 12 again. Because I delivered the poor that cried and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. Right? So going into the book of Job, this man is talking about how he did all of these things in his youth, man. Let's get something else from the book of Job. This is Job chapter 32, verses 6 through 9. And Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old, wherefore I was afraid, and durst not shew you mine opinion. I said, days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. Excuse me, but there is a spirit in man, and an inspiration of mighty, giving them understanding, right? So even though, wisdom does come with years, that's why we look up to the elders and so on and so forth. When you have, that mighty understanding of the law, statutes, and commandments, like we read in Deuteronomy 6 and 25, that's going to give you that righteousness. That's going to give you that boost to be able to know more, more than the ancients, like it says in the book of Psalms 119. But I'm going to close out with this, Isaiah 3 and 4. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 4. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. Right? So people always like to say, what do they say? Going into how, children are the future. And that's true, man. Because eventually the elders, they're going to die, or they're going to be too old to do certain things. So then it's going to be our job as young men and women in the truth to continue to push this word to our children to be the next mighty men and warriors of the nation. And with that, I just want to continue to push all my young brothers and sisters, I'm young myself, to continue to do things in the truth, to strive for that perfection of the Messiah. And with that, I'm going to close out and say shalom.